And we are live.
Hi, everyone.
Hello,
So we
everyone.
are just, yeah, we are happy to be with you here again this Tuesday evening. Well, for us, it's evening. For some of you, it may be night. For some of you, it may be morning. Whatever it is, we just are happy to be with you and to spend this time with you tonight or the evening or this morning. We have Christine, the co-host Christine, my lovely Christine Brooke. We have
Hello.
Andrea Mason for the first time with us.
Yes,
Mason, Andrea, welcome. Andrea, tell them
thank you.
something about yourself.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored and privileged to be here today. I am a motivational speaker that uses my voice as an instrument to help individuals see their potential and meet their fullest potential while pursuing their dream. I am their accountability partner every step of the way through the power of forgiveness and through my life lessons and losses and experiences. Thank you for making me on this platform.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So we
Yes.
had a lovely live discussion last week. Christine, not so?
Yes, we did. We talked about a lot of things, being whole in the relationship before you get married, um,
Mhm.
just being whole individually so that you can be a whole couple when you come together. We talked about um, a man's perspective with a gentleman named Quasi, and we also talked about a woman being a rib, right, for a man, and symbolically, um, we we never really look at it in a symbolic way that it's a woman protecting a man's heart, the one that she loves, protecting his heart, protecting his ability to think and to analyze. I mean, the rib cage is symbolic of all of those sensitive and vital organs that we have, and a woman is really a man's protector. And so we wanted to delve into that a little bit more today and discuss how women can protect men and wherever it goes, right, Beverly?
Yes, yes, but we want to start off with the men because whereas the woman was a rib taken from the men came first and they are called the head.
Mhm.
And so we want to understand the function of the head so that we can just dive a little bit into the function of man because many of our problems today stems out of us not being aware of who we are. And just growing up with culture saying, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, this is who you are. And oftentimes we have a lot of frustrated persons. Hence the reason why we have a lot of domestic violence, because they are unaware of who they are and the demand, the societal demand on men are so much at times that I think a lot of times they just give up because not because they that demand is unfair,
Mhm.
but more so because they don't know who they are and how much they can accomplish if they were really aware of who they are. So with it, the head, Christina, the head, the internal head is made up of two parts. And one of you know what the parts are?
The
What are the
brain.
parts? We have the brain and
And
come
breathe.
on, we have the nervous system.
System.
Mhm.
We have the brain. Do I have it correct? The brain and the spinal cord.
Right. Correct.
Yes, yes. And we have different functions that the brain does, but the brain really, what the brain and the spinal cord does is connect us to the external. And so that's why we have a nose and a mouth and
Mhm.
ears. Um, so that it connects us to our five senses. It does. And the main
Keep going, Beverly. I feel
function.
something big coming out of this. Come on, the man is ahead.
Gonna put it all
Let
Yeah,
it
but I
use
have
the
my
five
notes. I
senses.
have my I was telling as I was telling Andrea last night, when I have to deal with notes, it's be like, oh. But the three main things that the brain is supposed to do is coordinate, maintain, and balance.
right.
We are a coordinate, maintain, and balance.
Correct. Right.
These are three major things.
Mhm.
And this is if the guys are the head, these are three major things that they are responsible for to win. Coordinating, maintaining, and causing balance.
Right. Right.
That's interesting. I like the way you talk about that. Andrea, what do you think about that?
So I totally agree with Beverly that they're more constructive thinking. For some of you out there, if you have ever seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding,
Oh, I love that movie.
Maria says, "Let me tell you something, Sheila. The man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any which way she wants."
Yes.
And it's funny because in my relationship, I was brought around with all males. I had all male cousins. So I was the tomboy in the family. So to find that nurturance and that femininity was a little bit challenging because I had to be the tough one. I was the eldest sibling and I was the first child. But Beverly brought up a good point that, contain, maintain, that's the mentality that society brings upon men. And when you have someone who has the nurturance and has been surrounded by a nurturing mother and siblings of sisters, like my husband, he had that balance, and it's finding balance and wholeness between the relationship. And the misconception is 50-50. We want to bring 100%.
Absolutely.
We want to understand where we've been, where we're going. And I was able to marry, like I said, the other half of me because I needed that nurturance. And if you saw me, I'm this petite little, Latina and, cutesy. And then I have like my, it's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the bark. But I believe that women are getting more empowered and they're getting stronger. And I'm telling the men out there, and comment below, I'm telling you, don't fear your feelings. That's what women need. That's what melts our hearts. That's what makes us the romance. That spark doesn't die. And our rib that you ladies were talking about last week, I wasn't present, but it's a protector. Like Kristin said, the vital organs. So men, please be genuine and authentic with your feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to love. And public, terms of endearment and affection. That's what our ladies as us grew up with, the Princess Smeralda, Prince Charming on his white knight. But I think, we have lost that the men have to be the man of the house, the dictator, the chief, the stern one. That's all well and good. But it's 100% on each level, balanced.
Yes.
When you're weak, he's strong. When he's weak, she's strong. You need to be that spinal cord tapping into Beverly's five senses. Embrace each other, bring the yin and the yang to a relationship, wholeness.
Yes.
That's what I feel.
Oh, like that just made me think of, like, say you're in a relationship and things are not working, right? And one person is weak and then the other person is angry.
Yes.
Instead of being strong,
Yes.
that is where the breakdown of a relationship occurs, because now
Absolutely.
you don't have one person at least overflowed with love. You have another person that is also broken. You know,
Right.
when we're operating out of those types of emotions,
Right.
it doesn't allow for that love to flow, which
Right.
is important in a relationship for it to be successful. And thank you for bringing that up, Andrea. Like
No,
that
no problem.
is
We're all
so
human,
amazing.
and that's
Yeah.
what binds us together, especially through these times.
Oh
We're
yeah.
all
Mm-hmm.
we're all broken in some sort of way, different stages in our life, but the pure essence that God's and the higher power has given us is nurturance,
Yeah.
and that's what we need. Men, be there for your women.
Right.
Women, be there for the men. I can't tell you
Mm-hmm.
how attractive and alive I feel. This may sound weird, but when I see a man cry, because I know he's human,
Uh-huh.
and that's what we are together. We're a human connection, and those are the bonds
Yeah.
that stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing to me. Um, you hear all the time, and so the talk that roles have been switched. The man is now performing the woman role, and the woman is performing the man's role. And I have been a little apprehensive about it, to be honest. But I'm reading this, and I'm wondering because the head is responsible for coordinating, maintaining, and balancing. To be honest, I believe in today's society, this is what the woman does.
Yeah.
This is what the woman, she is the one that's coordinating, maintaining, and balancing. And then
Yeah.
it says the
You
woman
see
is
it a
the rib.
lot. Excuse me. You
The
see it a
rib is a
lot in movies
protector.
even.
Yes. Yes.
What's that?
I said you see a lot of that you're explaining, Beverly, in movies and on
Right.
TV. We see that role of the
Mm-hmm.
woman balancing, coordinating, maintaining
Right.
a
Right.
lot. I mean, yeah, it's
No.
keep going though. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
was just
No, that's
validating your
okay.
point.
That's okay. That's what conversation is. That's what
Yeah.
conversation is all about. And I
Yeah.
was saying, it is interesting that the rib represents protector. A
Hmm.
protector, the rib is
Absolutely.
and usually we think that the men are the ones that are the protectors.
Hmm. Absolutely. I'm just trying to douse my light a little bit.
We how many times have we really sat down and think about it as women are the actual protectors?
Hmm.
And when we talk about protector here, we're talking about the rib is the protector of the vital organ,
Right.
the vital organ, the thing that operates. And again, subtly, the rib it plays its part in coordinating, right?
Right.
It plays its part in maintaining and balancing subtly, but subtly, not
Yeah, in a way,
directly.
those ribs hold it all together too. Without a rib,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind
Hmm.
of like without having skin, we would fall apart.
Right.
And the ribs kind of,
Mm-hmm.
they're that skeletal system as well,
Yes.
holding up and giving structure.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we give structure within a relationship as well. You usually have the
Mm-hmm.
woman. It's not always that way, but you usually have the woman saying, "Where is this going?
Right.
What do you think of me?"
Yes.
Wanting
We're all
validation,
analyzing.
analyzing the relationship every
Yes.
step of the way. What
Yes.
does he mean by that? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
yeah, the skeletal system. When you really start to think about those types of terms and those types of metaphors for a relationship, it's so much deeper than just one rib,
Right.
because there's no such thing as one rib. I mean, I guess you can have a floating rib, but
There's
there's
six.
the rib cage, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say which one.
Right. Exactly.
So if you're a
Mm-hmm.
rib, then essentially you're a rib cage, right?
Right.
So um, it's so much more than just a rib, and you think of it as, oh, she's just a rib of a man. But no, symbolically,
Mm.
like that is vital.
Right.
That is
Yes,
vital.
yes, yes.
Yes. And
Again,
think
it protects all the vital organs, all, every,
about
the heart, the
mm-hmm.
lungs,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
The digestive system,
Yeah. All
the
the digestive
digestive
organs.
system,
upper
yes.
digestive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have,
Right.
yeah, yes. What were you going to say, Andrea?
I mean, if you think about it, for those walking the next journey in their lives with another person, it's a marriage. You want to
Mm,
understand the complete fullness of the person you're with.
Hmm.
You want to follow
mm,
your heart, you want to follow your mind, and you want to understand where they've been. You know, when you enter into a marriage, you know, depending on how, whether it's a 6-month proposal, 2-day proposal, or just a decision, that is a commitment, not only for
mm,
you and the man, but for everything thereafter: your children, your pets, your lifestyle, your dreams. So when you connect a man and a woman, and they balance and they share and they're ready to step into that commitment and bond of marriage, matrimony, that is giving your full self of everything you've went through. And a lot of people don't realize that at times, oh, I'm getting ready to get married. You're not only marrying the man or woman, you're marrying their life,
Yes.
entering their their world.
You're
Not
marrying their
only with
decision-making.
their family, their history, their skeletons,
Yep.
but what makes it so powerful is you're combining minds of the head, and you're combining hearts and the ribs.
Yep.
And when you take that next step, it's not only the mind and body combined, but it's the spirit and soul that you're willing to evolve as a whole together, because you're not just yourself, you're a Mrs. or a Mr. And that's who you become. And when we lose sight of that, and you know, from what I've experienced and remembered, is you're meeting that person at a fun time at their lives, and everything's going good, and you may see the birds and you might hear the bells ringing, but you're
and the
making,
butterflies.
yeah,
Yeah.
the butterflies, everything, but you're making a
Mhm,
commitment to learn more about them. It's not just
mhm,
that person across the room. It's not that person with that job or that appearance. You're growing with them. And in order to grow with someone, you have to understand them wholeheartedly, accepting them with their flaws and their wins and their goals. And then together you can create and mold the dream that you want. And like I said, the men have been programmed in society to be these warriors. Why not win together and be a team of warriors, unite? And I think that's what's important. You know, women, you know, women are just as powerful as men, men are just as powerful as women. It's a mindset, but it's a mindset combined and a commitment for marriage, and we have to remember that and bring that to the table,
Right.
you know.
So true.
You know.
You were going to say something, Christine?
I loved when she said, "You're marrying them and everything thereafter." And it
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm,
wow, like everything thereafter kind of reminds me of like a fairy tale, right? We all,
Mhm.
as a little kid, as a little girl, we want the happily ever after,
Mhm.
but do we really vet the relationship? You know,
Mhm.
are we really analyzing and being, you know, that masculine part of us, are we tapping in? Because we are a
Right.
duality, right?
Correct.
We just maybe swing from one side to the other, a little bit more masculine, a little bit more feminine. And sometimes we need to be cognizant that, you know, instead of ruling from our emotions and our heart, that we are analyzing all of those things that someone is bringing to the table. Are they worth this commitment? Because I am whole and they're saying they're whole. If this is a whole person, then is this really a good fit? Is this a good lifetime commitment? And I kind of want to, if it's okay, spin this a little bit, because there's a show that I watched on Netflix. I believe it was called like Indian Matchmaker, and they were talking about prearranged marriage. And I was like, you know what? That's actually not too bad of an idea. Like I like seeing it. I'm like, I understand how a family would say, okay, we want to meet them. We want to meet their family. We want to know where they work, how long they've been there, what other skills, talents, hobbies, ideas, what is their like life philosophy, their spirituality, and the family has a say so in it, right? And I've told my family, you know, the next time I really seriously date someone, you guys are going to have to like really grill them to make sure that they are right for me. And I, you know, after seeing that show, I'm like, I think I need to start trusting the judgment of my family a little bit more and allowing their input. I think in American culture, we so often are like, oh, I can make my own decision. But maybe family should play more of a bigger role. And what do you guys think?
I mean,
yeah,
go ahead, Beverly.
definitely. Listen, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm saying, Lord, Precious is supposed to be on here. I so wish that Precious could just come on. And I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Again, Andrea, last week we were talking about the importance of being whole.
Right.
Before we get married, and that is what Kristin was just commenting on. And the fact that we are coming in with all these, everything of our past,
right,
helps us to understand how, even more how important it is that we are whole. But even Kristin, where it comes to knowing who the person is. Now, for me, Precious says she's in a car heading home right now. Right? Yes. But I just, my thought just get bumped off a little bit. Let me just collect it back. We were speaking about the whole, the importance of being whole. Right. When we go back to the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam everything he needed, you know. And he gave him to name the animals and to subdue the land. He gave him a purpose. And then he brought the woman who joined him on the purpose. And if we could reach that place where we understand our purpose in life, and we have found someone who shares that purpose, someone that can share everything about us, or as I said, purpose, our drive, then we know without a doubt that this person is somebody that we are going to grow old with together. One of the greatest complaints of women is being alone in a marriage. Because we have, the husband has his career, the wife has her career. And I was listening to a program this week, Cuckoo, and the lady on it she was saying, I can't remember her name right now. I wrote it down somewhere, but I don't have it on me. But she was saying that, I'll get back to what she was saying. it just slipped me. It just slipped me. It just slipped me. And the thing about it is that if we could just take the time to get to know ourselves and to come into purpose, and that is why we wanted to go into the functions of what a head is and what a rib is, Because again, when you look at it, it's wow, you know, the guy is to maintain, coordinate, and balance,
Right.
to be able to connect us with the outside world, with experiences. Oh, and I now remember what I was going to say. So she was saying that God gave Adam all these things to do, and Adam was alone. God himself said that Adam was alone. It's not good for Adam to be alone. And then he gave Adam a wife to fulfill his aloneness. So God placed within us something that is supposed to want to be in the company of this man. You know, she was saying, oh, they say women are nagging. Women are not nagging. Women are not nagging. They're not nagging you to be with them.
Right.
They are your loneliness. She put it across it. Women are men's loneliness crying out to them.
Right.
That's how she puts it across. And I was like, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Because it is indeed the cry of a lot of women. So we have a lot of cries from women and a lot of cries from men. And that's the thing why we want to dive into. Because if we have these cries from women and these cries from men, then there must be some truth about how the person is feeling and thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, Beverly, I believe it's definitely filling each other's needs. And my question is, when Kristin, when you talked about arranged marriages, that is in some cultures welcome. But think about how many individuals where their families are influenced. Maybe they're not happy with their marriage. And maybe their parents are living through them, their children. Find this man, find this woman. Are they filling their own void for them? Or are you making the decision on who you choose to live with? And I think the more that we on this platform and going forward give the opportunity, the space and the courage for men to speak out on their experiences, why they chose their significant other, it's amazing. Is it to fill their void? A lot of the unknown and unspoken is hidden within men because they were told to keep their feelings, under the carpet. But if we have the choice, and I think American culture has skewed it a little bit, but I think if we have the choice and we see the potential, everybody's so quick, instant gratification. They see the right person, they jump into it full force, 2 feet. If you take the time and embrace the journey and the relationship and evolve with one another, that's the more prominent and powerful relationships you will gain. I've known my husband for years, and it's a fortunate thing when you really get to grow and see the person at their strengths and their areas of improvement. And as the pendulum sways, we make the choice to be their savior, their partner, or just their side. And once we, Beverly, you had said, are we really aware of who we are? I think that's the challenge that people need to do today. Am I ready for a relationship, or am I filling it with a void on both ends? Am I being pressured from my family? The time is up. You need to get married. I want grandchildren. I want a house. I want this. Whose watch are you on? And I think once we've established and find that compatible partner and that accountability partner, that best friend, that cheerleader, but also that savior, that's the journey we need to focus and walk upon as we enter marriage.
Yeah.
So I would like to. Sorry, Kristin, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do think that show had some validity to it, right? What I found with the matchmaking process being a new age arranged marriage, not so much like historically where women didn't have a choice. You know, the man came, if he had enough money, you're married off. But where you have two families coming together and two people that are ready for a relationship that just want some cultural tradition along with the dating. Like dating wasn't working like the American way, right? And so culturally they came together and they were wanting information that you usually find over a course of dates. And what they were able to uncover right away was all of this stuff that you would uncover on a course of dates. And then it was kind of, okay, well, does it make sense to get to know this person and pursue marriage? So it wasn't like a forced arranged marriage, which is why I'm like, I would consider something like that because my family knows me and I would want them to know the other family. And they can also see like, oh, that family, they really like you, or that man, the way he looks at you. That's, I think that's what I want more of.
The nurturing intuition from your family.
Yes, yes. Or, you know, a father saying, oh, that, you know, he's a really good guy, or, you know, he's a man's man, whatever it might be. Or something just doesn't sit right with me. Like, I think that family input,
perspective.
Yeah, outside perspective is sometimes some really good advice that sometimes we overlook. And I think we overlook it though because we're not whole. And we don't want to hear what somebody is lacking because we know we're lacking ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know the thing about it, Kristin, and that is a really great idea. However, for those persons who probably don't have the kind of family that would make the correct choice.
Well, hopefully they have friends. Hopefully they have a mentor, you know, someone to input, not necessarily an arranged marriage, but just get input from the people that you know, love, and trust.
Your support system, your inner circle that knows you and can see.
Yes.
Right. So that is what I was going to say actually, because when you take the time again, and I think I kind of reiterate this more, when you take the time to get whole, one of the things that you find, you end up in a wonderful circle of persons who are able to give you great counsel. Again, I have to bring up Precious again, you know, because I'll tell you why. The other day I saw that she and her fiance had put out this ad, you know, to do a live program like this where they talk about how they meet and the dating and stuff like that. And I said, you know, I have to listen to this program. And I forgot with the busy schedule of the day. I forgot. And then I had this person in my life. And at that point in time, I was at a low where I was saying, you know, God, why is it always that I feel like I'm putting in so much and getting so little? And I was sitting there practically in tears when the notification came up that Precious was going live. And that program was so healing for me when it came to, and Kristin, that was one of the things that they brought up, and they talked about the fact that the persons in their life had spoken words in their life before this event, and that they had a group of persons who were able to look from the outside and say, hey, yes, this is it. Persons who were actually saying this is it before they even knew that this was it. You know? And and there is so, because listen, for me, I know. I always say if I had listened to my mother, things would have turned out differently. You know, my mother said, child, too early. You need to get yourself together first. There's so much more healing you have to do. And I was like, you see, right now I need a family. Family is all the healing that I need. And I live to regret it. I live to regret it. Had I listened to that support that God had given me, things would have turned out so much differently. I don't regret, though. At least I don't live in regret, because
Yes.
I have now learned so much from my experience. And Andrea, I listen to you and I'm like, because God knows I'm always saying, God, don't take me before I have a wonderful relationship where I can experience oneness with someone. Because I think it would be such a wonderful experience. Listen, I grew up as a tomboy,
Yes.
right? After just before I came on this program, I was putting on this dress and I was like, Shia, people let's come out here on this program and they're Jersey and think you always dress up. And I was carrying on this conversation in my mind and I was saying, you know why? Because for years I was a tomboy. Years I grew up as a tomboy. I hated dress. The first time I wore a dress and went to church, I was about 20. And my friends didn't make me out. Listen to me. My friends laughed me to scorn when they saw me in that dress. They laughed at me. I mostly wear like top and skirts, and my skirt probably might be short. And then I sit down and I take my skirt and I tuck it between my leg and I put a foot up underneath. When I got married, every time I go and I sit down in church with my husband, I have to remember, take down your leg, fix the clothes, take down your leg. That dress really wasn't my way. So the feminine kind of thing wasn't too much within me. And then I met this girlfriend and she says, for me, I would give me a black bag and a black sandals or a nude sandals that could go with everything and I good to go. That was me. I don't have time for all this makeup. It's just clammy. It's just a clammy mess that we don't need.
Right.
That was me.
Yeah.
And she took me and we started by. I end up with, well, my husband, he liked heels and he was working outside and he started to bring us a heels. I ended up with a collection of heels and my clothes, my wardrobe started to change and I started to change. I started to feel feminine and now I'm like, okay, now I feel so feminine. I wish I could have somebody in my life who could treat me feminine,
Yes.
And that is it, with the rib, right? The rib is sturdy, real sturdy. It's a protector. It's real sturdy, but it still needs, the external covering. You still need the external covering, to be able to just.
It needs a gentle protection. When you think of like skin is the soft protection. And we think of men being like, muscular, like the Hulk, right? But we don't need the aggressive protection. We need a soft, tender protection from men.
Yes.
My favorite embrace is, is the one right over that, when they hug you and right there.
Behind.
Yeah. And your head's between their shoulders on their chest. That's the best embrace ever.
Listen to me, Andrea, right? You see, after the show, you go in and get all your embrace. You see this kind of thing that you kind of just throwing these things out, and then when the show finished, I had to go and hug up my stuffed dog inside there.
You're gonna hang yours up. I'm gonna go get my princess dress, and I'm just gonna be like.
When you finish, all the warm and fuzzy feeling, and I had to go and hug up a warm and fuzzy bear, stuffed dog inside on my bed there.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's true. When I got married, I was like, I don't want a dress. what heels? No, like what? No, this is too much. I don't want this. I already stress myself out. I make things harder than they are, But when you put it on and you get that sense of femininity, it's just like a power that's beyond any other power, and us as ribs, the analogy with the rib is it can be broken, it can be bruised, but it never can be replaced. Think about that. And nothing heals the rib except self-love. If anybody who's injured their rib out there or bruised their rib, it's extremely painful. But with TLC, it mends back together. And that's why women are the rib of the men. We self-heal ourselves. And once we heal ourselves and care for ourselves, we are that illuminescence for the man to say, I'm here for you. I'm your spirit. I'm whole with you. And we have to have those men reciprocate that and reach out. It's not being, what they say, whipped. It's not being, ball and chain. It's not that. It's respecting each other, respecting them for everything that they have. And there's nothing that can replace when I laugh or I do something silly and I get caught and then we just laugh together. It's amazing,
Right.
and I think once we learn how to be whole and true to ourselves, that's when the magnetic piece is going to come together with the one, Kristin, that you're talking about. Trust your gut. When you're in the presence of somebody who, just like, Beverly and I connected of our energy, when you connect with someone, that's when you're whole and wholesome at the same time with them.
Right.
And that's what we have to find. They have to.
You don't have to worry about hiding yourself. You do not have to feel like you're walking on eggshells.
Absolutely.
Like you have to be just perfect. You just can't be yourself without even having to, sometimes we believe that, marriage is a compromise. No, there's a difference between marriage being a compromise and having compromises in marriage.
Exactly.
And sometimes we think that marriage is a compromise in such a way that not just we who have to compromise ourselves, but we ask our partners to compromise themselves because I might be an outgoing person that likes to go out and enjoy the nature, and that person might be a person that likes to lie down on the couch. That's who they are.
Right.
You want to go out in nature, you find someone who wants to be in nature. We don't need that kind of compromise where you can't find yourself or you can't be relaxed or you can't feel free to be you.
Right.
So
absolutely.
And there's something that you said, Andrea, that really struck home, and that is for the rib to heal, it must be self-heal, but the healing has to come from the head.
Mindset.
The head. It has to come from the head because the mind is in the head, right?
Yes.
The brain is in the head.
Yes.
The healing has to come from the head. Kristin, you get quiet in the corner.
I agree.
What's your thought? Oh Lord, we are too talkative once about you. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
What are my thoughts?
Yeah.
I agree. The healing does come from mindset, working on yourself, repetition, seeking out resources.
Absolutely.
And it takes courage, it takes strength to really work on yourself and heal yourself, but it can be accomplished, it can be done.
Right.
And not only women need to, work on healing themselves when they've gone through something. That's something important for men too.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we do tell men to suppress their feelings or, real men don't cry. Well, real men do cry.
Yeah.
And for me in particular, I feel like I have a bond with a man if he will allow me to see him cry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know that he is whole if he will cry.
Yes.
For a man to me that won't cry is a man that has issues with emotion. And me being a woman, I need to be able to be comfortable with my ability to cry and my ability to be vulnerable in a relationship with a man that I'm going to share my feelings with. And I want that to be reciprocated. So it is important for us all to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about
But
the word gentle man,
Yeah,
gentle man,
right?
gentle giants. There's a million of you out there that are gentle giants.
Mm-hmm.
And one key point I do want to kind of address, please, on both sides, embrace the journey, but don't for 1 second think you're going to change the other person.
Right.
That's a big false notion.
Yeah.
You either change together or you don't.
you
But
grow
you're
apart.
not you're not in it to change them. Oh, I can fix him. I can fix her. It's not about fixing. It's about repairing together and healing and growing. And I've seen so many relationships that were based on, like I said, the immediate, the instant gratification. And until you experience something with an individual, if in respect to what Kristin said earlier on, you have the time and capability, it is in those small moments that you will have a notion, a gut feeling, and your heart of hearts know if this is the right person.
Yes. It's also not so much about how much you could take also.
Correct.
It's not how much you could change the person, it's not how much you could take. Because a lot of times we tell ourselves we could take and you could take. And what I find out is that when you get into marriage, these little things began getting
They
heavy
snowball,
because
don't they?
you pile them on. What's that?
A snowball effect. You start getting adapted
Yes,
and feeling and start
yes.
believing it.
Yeah.
And then you bury it under the snowball.
Mm-hmm.
You buried under the snowball. But also, Christine, beyond the fact of needing healing and healing ourselves, I think what I was trying to say is that in relation here, we're talking about relationship between the man and the woman being the rib and the man being the head. We see how important it is for a man to be a part of a woman's healing because the mind is in the head,
right,
and it's the head that is the only thing that is able to heal the rib.
right, absolutely, 100%.
So we protect each other. The
Right.
where the head has to remember that the rib is protecting the vital organs needed to for the day-to-day functions of the body.
Right.
You know what?
Meanwhile,
So
yeah.
this just came to me.
Mhm.
If you think about it, the ribs protect the lungs and the heart, right?
Mhm.
I think I know where
Now,
you're going.
if the brain function controls these organs without thinking, I don't even know how to put this in words. It is so important that they work together. They cannot be taken apart. Their function is for the survival of the body. the
Yep.
body being the relationship. You cannot live without a brain. You cannot live without air. You cannot live without blood flow. So if we metaphorically say the woman is the rib and the man is the head, all of the things in between are vital
Right.
to the body.
Right. And in order to get emotions, you need to have the heart and the breath to go messages to the brain to make sure you're functioning, properly.
Yes.
It's a connected
It's a
message. Connected message, like Beverly said, with the Nutrisystem, the central Nutrisystem, centralized system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nervous system.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which controls the
thing is
body.
that-
Yes.
right.
But it
And the
starts
thing that
with those central functions.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whew.
That was deep.
Yeah.
the thing is that these nerves that makes up the nervous system is also what allows us to feel pain.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And at the same
so
time,
that-
it provides motor function.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea,
Right.
were you on the call with John Osroff?
Mm-mm. No. Which I don't.
Are you in John's course?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so John Osroff from The Secret spoke to a group of people, and
Oh, I know who he. Now I know who he is. Yes.
yeah, he was talking about that the phrase where where the thoughts go, energy flows.
Yes.
I might have that kind of off,
Yeah.
but he said it's literally where your thoughts go, your blood flows.
Yes.
And that there's a motor part of your brain that is connected to your motor skills, which relates to your motivation. And like all of this is like connecting for me that a man is a motivator
Yeah.
for the relationship as well.
Right.
And he is, he
Mhm.
takes action, right? That's what we expect out of a man. Like you take action, you do the things that require the heavy lifting part of the motor skills, but I'll do my part too.
Give labor.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Even in the birthing sense, and that is like probably the worst and the best thing all in one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, it's funny you mentioned that because just a really snippet. So a couple years back, I was very stressed, and I ended up due to subconscious stress of women's compartmentalized multitasking era, and I ended up going into the hospital, and I had trouble breathing, but I couldn't pinpoint what happened. And so what happened was they said that I was fine. They sent me home. Then they called me back and I had to go back. And they said I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis.
Oh, no.
Now, if you know what that is, that's shutdown of your whole system. But I was walking. I was ready to go to work the next day. And they said, you need to come back into the hospital. So going off to what Beverly said, my mind got the best of me. Okay, you've given me this label. I have this condition. So now my body's nothing but to react and do that. Within less than 24 hours, I was on the ICU for a week. I couldn't see our son and any of my family.
Wow.
And due to John and The Secret, I've been studying for so many years. My husband called me and he says, we need you home. And he said, remember the part of The Secret where John, I don't know if his name was John, the pilot in the air crash.
Oh, yeah.
He was hospitalized. He was hospitalized and says, I'm going to walk out at December 25th. Yeah. My husband said to me, the motivator, he said, you need to be here with our family. Our son misses you. I miss you, and so on. And it was that mindset Beverly was talking about. And I said, you know what? I'm going to walk out of this hospital tomorrow if whatever it takes. Now, rewind a couple of hours and I could barely walk. I was on machines.
Mhm.
I went to sleep that night. Next morning, the team came and said, okay, if you are able to walk, we won't prolong your stay. All the tests are negative. We don't know what's going on. Da da da.
Wow.
I had the mindset that night. I said, I'm going to go home today. 10:30, PT/OT came in. I walked to the nurse's station and back.
Wow.
And at 12:30, 1 o'clock, I remember it vividly, our son had a half day. My father took me to his school to pick him up, and he said, Mommy, it's like Christmas. You're home. Thank you for the gift. So the man, my husband, had to be the motivator to kind of put me in check, obtain, contain, and maintain my mindset as women
Whew.
who were emotional, to reprogram my body, get into my mental
Uh,
and service system to get my body functioning.
Yeah.
But who would have thought, walking from my bedside after a week,
mhm.
not being able to hold anything, all machines, all limbs were numb, to now have the mindset to walk out the door. And I think that's what we're talking about, the unity, the symbiosis of a man and a woman working together and
Mhm.
rising,
Right.
So, so in essence, the head has the power to make things happen.
Correct.
The
Absolutely.
head has the power to make things happen. This is
Correct.
what I want.
Yep.
Then I have all the
Yes.
strategies
Right.
within me to cause it to happen.
Right.
Mhm.
And as a
You know,
woman
and
at that time, I felt vulnerable. So I needed the men. I
yeah.
didn't need, but I benefited from my husband stepping up as a motivator to put my
Mm,
mind in clarity of a clear vision of what I wanted and what I was going to attain, you know.
right.
And that was part of that
Because
wholeness. He knew
Yes,
you, and he knew that would be what you would want too. Like he
absolutely.
knew you needed to hear that.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Like
Yeah.
you literally gave me chills.
It was an amazing experience because, like I said, I woke up the next day. I was all ready to go, and they were
Mm,
just running tests and nothing happened. But make a long story short, it was just stress, and I couldn't pinpoint it. And finally, my body's like, "Okay, you're not working up here. I'm going to shut you down. You need to take a break. You're beating yourself up of a mistake or what have you is in your mind." And it was really incapacitating that it brought me less than 48 hours when I was kind of stressed about something, and whatever, I'll just erase it, to less than 24 hours on the ICU unit, not knowing what was happening. So it's the mindset, the mind shift, and the mind motivating of the mind of someone who knows you as a whole, like you said, Kristin, what you needed to hear at that time from someone you confide in, someone you love,
Mhm.
and the other half of you, you know.
um, so let's go on to domestic violence. And I know it is on both sides, but I just want to talk about it because we know we have a higher rate on against women.
Right.
If the guys were to sit down and contemplate on the things like this, okay, I'm the head, yes, I can make things happen. Yeah, I have that kind of power, but you
Right.
know what? The thing that I need to allow me to operate the best is having pure air
Mm-hmm.
that comes from the lungs, is having pure blood
Right.
that the heart pumps. And in order for me to have this, the structure that keeps it protected is the rib. Then I am not going to kick in my rib. I am
Right.
not going to box my rib. I am not going to beat on my rib because I know that this is the thing that is protecting me.
Wow.
It is the thing that is helping me to function at my best. You
Right.
know, I really, and this is, we really will have to continue because we almost at the hour. But, you know, it brings me back to something. Quasi was on with us last week, And after the show, Christy and I was speaking. And I remember in the show, I said, and I know that Kristin and Andrea, you all could attest to this. Because as women, we always say, if men could just understand how to treat a woman, he would recognize that he would never have to ask for her to submit. She will give him every single thing she has, her everything, her all. And at the end of the show, Chrissy was telling me, if women will know how to talk and how to carry about themselves,
Right.
they could get men to do anything for them.
Right.
If they could just know that. And I was a little apprehensive, as I told Christine when he said that, because to me, I felt like we have been given everything, and yet still we have not been getting back.
Right.
And then I paused and I recognized that no, if as we as women are saying this, and the guys don't believe it, but we know in our heart of hearts that it is the truth, then that there has to be some sort of truth in what Quasi was saying or what the guys have to say. So these topics are things that we really need to dive in deep because we have to find out what it is as men and women that we are missing, where we're missing it. Just today I was.
Communication.
What's that?
Effective communication.
Effective communication. But how can I communicate something that I don't know?
True.
Is there anything, Andrea, that maybe you said you grew up in a house with mainly boys? Was there anything that you learned from growing up in a family of boys?
All my cousins, like I said, they were all males. And it was a lack of understanding. It was just a lack of a misinterpretation that, the boys would act certain ways, So, you go to the analogy of, oh, hit a girl, and then that means you like her, and that's kind of like, like, that didn't make any sense. And as I grew older with my cousins, we would go to Myrtle Beach and, we would kind of sit on the beach and, oh, who did you meet? Who did you meet? And it was when the guy approached me, they were like hawks, like, oh, no. But when the girls approached them, I would just sit back and observe. And then I would say, did you pick up on that? Did you notice that? Did you notice her body language, her tone of voice? Did you really hear the message that she was portraying? And some of them, being, juvenile, I wasn't even listening. I was just, I was grateful that I was grateful she approached me. And my eldest cousin was just like, I never thought of it like that way. They didn't have the perspectives of it, whether their mom, and then I think it comes all deep rooted to where you're coming from. And if you don't understand someone, how can you communicate? And I totally understand that, Beverly. If I don't know where you've been and you're telling me, I can have an idea, but it's
you could never truly.
I can empathize and sympathize, but I never walked in your shoes.
Right.
And that's
and
where
even Andrea,
I'm sorry?
and even Andrea, if you walk in my shoes, because your feet are different to mine, it's shaped it different. Yours probably more delicate than mine. I come from the country doing a lot of barefoot walking. Because of because of these differences,
yes,
your experience will still be different than mine.
Absolutely. Well, you see the siblings. You can sit at the dinner table or Thanksgiving, and you can ask 5 people who sat at the same dinner, had the same had the same topics and experience, 5 different stories. So we have to find that connection to do our best to exemplify what we're trying to say. How many times does your husband or someone say, are you mad? No. Really? You're sure you're not mad? No, I'm not mad. I'm fine.
And it's
Okay,
like,
Or
we know
not
they're
mad,
mad.
right?
Why do we ask? We know they're
Why
mad.
do you even ask? But what do we say as women? You never care about my feelings. You don't ask how I am. Just ask how you were, and you know. So we have to be careful of what we are. If you put your expectations at a certain level for any situation, you're going to get disappointed because you're going to think that person understands what you're asking of them. You know.
We have to look to wrap up because we over the hour.
Absolutely.
But yesterday we were speaking, Andrea, and you told me something. You said, what was I can't remember the phrase that you were using, but you were using it in different. How are you? How are you?
Yes.
How are you? You were using it in different tones. Yes. And you were saying, according to the different tones that we use, different things are understood out of it. And even our experiences teach us how to relate to things and interpret things.
Right.
I remember just the other day, I had a friend and I sent a text message and I said, XYZ. And when I sent the message, the state of mind was really, I was really thinking about that person. And when the person texted me back, I was so shocked at the response that I got. And when we did talk about it, because they interpreted that text that you just put this across in this wording so that we could have a beef.
Exactly.
And that was their interpretation because of their experience.
Yep.
And so oftentimes we interpret a lot of things based on our experience. And that is why we need to go back, Kristin, to understanding the function of the head.
Absolutely.
And understanding the function of the rib. And understanding how the body works together.
Correct.
So that we can truly come to an understanding of who we are and how we were made and how we were made to function, because we speak on our culture, based on our cultures, our upbringing, our experience. We speak based on that. And sometimes it's not always the truth.
Right.
And not just received well. It's not always the truth. We were taught, I could tell you, for me, as a Black woman, I was taught that your mouth is the greatest weapon that you have, And I've learned over the years, silence is so much greater than
powerful.
Silence is so much greater than opening my mouth and saying how I feel and if we have a physical fight, I can win, but I can win you with words and I will have the last word. Because I have to stand up for myself and I will stand up for myself and I don't care what you say. Right.
But what's the most fearful thing? I know the fearful thing in my experience is when I get silent, the head is like, oh my gosh, what is she thinking? What is she going to do?
Right.
What did I do? Wait, did I do something? Did you do something?
Listen.
Did our son do something? That's the head is like, oh my goodness, they go on fight or flight. When silence is just golden, because when you're just sitting there, you're like, okay, and you're just silent. The mind can't handle that. And that's why we as women verbalize and we're able to communicate. And the rib, like I said, we self-heal, we can self-talk or we can self-bully ourselves. But with the mind, you're constantly analyzing. And then when silence occurs, that's when fear takes over.
Right. Because Kristin, you remember what you told me that even that program that you talked about earlier on that you were taking in with the secret. Remember what you told me that the guy said was the greatest function of the brain?
Remind me.
Thoughts flow to where the blood flows.
It was to be on guard.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Yes. To avoid pain or
So,
discomfort.
okay, so the
And
guy will always.
yeah, to avoid pain or discomfort.
Mhm.
And so what we do is we will do anything we can. We'll come up with lots of reasons and excuses as to why we don't want to do something because it might bring us pain or we're uncomfortable with the idea of what may come of it. So when you have people that don't want to communicate, it's usually because there's some discomfort, like you said, Andrea, with the head, not knowing what to expect. And so instead of it trying to get to a point of, okay, let's get to the most pleasurable outcome, let's work together, you have these negative reactions, and then the thoughts are not in alignment of a good relationship.
Right.
The other thing that I wanted to say, like listening to you guys, is I've learned over the years that when you have a conversation with someone, whether it is in a relationship or through text or business relationship, the best way to maintain a good relationship with anyone is to receive what they have to say in the best possible light.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, what if it's a text and it's kind of you're not sure and it's a little unclear, if you look at it as, well, maybe that was a typo,
Right.
you don't have the negative feeling that comes with that.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
anger is a gift that you don't have to accept. I loved when I heard that for the first time. It's a gift that people want to give, but you don't have to accept that gift of anger.
Right.
You let them keep that feeling, you know, because as they push it out to you to say, I'm angry and I want you to be angry too. Well, you can decide whether or not you want to be angry. So as you receive it in that best way possible, there's no reason why you should be angry unless it is clear that they are angry and upset. But even still, you have a choice whether you are going to respond with anger or if you are going to take a moment to breathe and then respond appropriately.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Respond as opposed to react.
exactly. There, I told Beverly about Serenity by James Allen,
Yes,
and
yes. And
it's just
I am still
amazing. Yeah, it's
benefiting.
amazing. Um,
Yeah.
it calms me. It's enough to get me calm and to refocus me. If you guys have never heard of it, I would recommend it. I'm gonna put it in the comments because it's just powerful. People
Absolutely.
want to deal with a person that is serene, that's calm, that's fair. And it's a powerful excerpt from Think and Grow Rich. So there you go.
Yeah. So, Christine, it's not, based on what you just said, that's what gives us the edge when we keep silent. The fact that the brain goes into automatic thinking. Where am I going wrong? What am I doing? Oh my God. And it gives them the time to sit down and think. And you know what? When you keep doing that and you keep being silent and they keep thinking and they recognize that you are not going to argue, things start happening. And you do have conversations where you don't argue because at some point in time, I have to get this brain all. I'm not arguing with her and bringing up all the reasons why I should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that and solidifying myself in all the things that I want to do. No, yes, quietness and I can't handle that. And it pushes
That's the
the
biggest
head.
challenge. That's the biggest
Yes,
challenge.
yes, it pushes the head
But it will give
towards
the mind and the head time to kind of play back. Wait, what did I do? Analyze, assess the situation. And 9 times out of 10, if you sit and have the courage to sit silent enough or receive
Mhm.
silence, you'll realize why they're silent.
Yes, and I listen. I am shocked. I am totally shocked to see how much is gotten done when you get
Yes,
silent.
yes.
Everything that you had to be saying, do over and over and over and over again, it just gets done.
Yeah,
It gets
absolutely.
done.
Yes, yes,
This evening was lovely again. It
yes,
was
absolutely.
so, it was so awesome having uh, ma- uh, Andrea
Yes.
with us here this evening.
Thank you
And
for having
Christine,
me.
Thank
as
you, Andrea.
usual, it's just wonderful having you as the co-host here with me. So we are over the hour and we are just going to each give our last words
Okay.
of wisdom,
Okay.
and so we can close off this segment until next week, Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Who's
Who's
first?
gonna start? Oh, um,
Go,
We
Andrea.
we would we would we would go with the guest first today.
okay, no
And
problem. Okay.
mm-hmm.
My wisdom to you: when you embrace the relationship of another, make sure you're whole, you're wholesome. Be present. Give them the gift of your presence, and make sure that you're ready to connect, to feel, to hurt, to love, and to explore everything that the world has to offer to you. And make sure you follow your heart and not the herd, nor the hurt, for your heart will set you free and always find you joy. Thank you.
Andrea,
Yes.
how can they contact you?
Okay. They can contact me, Andrea Mason, on Facebook. I have an Instagram account, play the number 4111 on Instagram, and stay tuned for my upcoming website and YouTube channel in the near future.
Perfect.
And I thank both you and Beverly for having me on this evening. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
A plum, please, a pleasure.
That's her story, and she's sticking to it.
Yes.
Up in here, up in here.
And I will speak because I know that Christine has something that she would like to say to close off. My words to you this evening is you are worth being aware of who you are and what will bring you the greatest, what would bring you the greatest fulfillment and happiness in this life. You know, there's a quote, a Russian proverb. It says, there is no shame in not knowing. The shame lies in not finding out. It is up to us to be aware of who we are. It is up to us to know the things that will help us to have an abundant life. And so we are encouraging you. The YouTube is full. There are books. Go and find out for yourself. What we have missed, you can still gather, go find out, and be and live that purpose-driven life that God has have in store for you. You can find me on Facebook at Beverly Briggs, and you can email me at tittyquillfoundation@gmail.com. I'm also on YouTube, and I'm working on that. That is a work in progress. But from time to time, I share this live forum on my Beverly Briggs Facebook page and ask you to please like, subscribe, and share, because there are persons out there that need to know that they are not alone, and they need to become aware of just how precious and valuable they are.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to close us out, and I just want to remind all of you that, as they both mentioned, coming whole to a relationship and just being whole in general is important. You are worthy of being whole. You are worthy of being loved. You are worthy to love yourself. You are worthy to be courageous. And as I say that, I want to remind you all that I help individuals who have gone through traumatic events to get through their pain and to joy and healing. So, with that, I have been working on a project. I will let you guys know about that a little bit later this evening. And I will also be releasing my book, I Choose Joy, An Overcomer's Guide Through a Secret Journey. Now, the published date, the launch date has been set for March 20th, 2021. And once the book cover is designed, I will release that to all of you. So if you need to reach me, you can reach me at www.kristinbrooke.com. And I look forward to helping you guys all transition to a point of wholeness.
Yay.
Yeah, we have a big author in the house, y'all.
It's
And
official.
so,
Yay.
yes, and coming up soon, we have an interview with the one and only Andrea Mason, and she will also tell you about what she is working on and how
Yes.
she is prepared to help you be an overcomer.
Absolutely.
We are
Yes.
just saying, do
Yes.
have a blessed
Yes. Be well,
night
everyone.
or day or whatever time it is. You do have a blessed. I never even had to worry about what time it was. But when you get big, you're international.
We're all around the world.
Right.
World.
It's like, woo, Eastern time, Central time. What is? Look, I thought we were going on Central time, and I was like all down in it. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. This time, Trinidad and Tobago going at Atlantic time.
Yeah.
Yep,
But
2 hours
people,
different.
Yeah.
we are just so happy to be a part of your life.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
tune in again with us next week, Tuesday, as we continue our dynamic discussions on issues that face us today.
Right.
Yes, until
Yeah.
then,
Until
good night.
good night, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Be well, everyone.
Yes.